She's so fine, hell of a, blows my mind.
What's good, guys? Today's Friday, July the 24th, 2020. I've been having some trouble uploading my videos, so hopefully this actually gets uploaded on Friday. And before anybody says anything in the comments, I've uploaded many videos. I'm not new to this. I don't know what's going on, but I keep having an upload fail, and then maybe my third try will finally let me do it. So, it's not a space issue, not any of the above, but I'll get it worked out. Regardless, I'm trying to calm down because I read an article regarding Taylor Blackwell, and there's some new information, and I didn't want to come on here with a bunch of cussing, so I was trying to calm down. So this is from KCRA3, NBC affiliate, and it's got a video, but I'm going to read this before I play the video. It says, what we know about the Taylor Blackwell case. Sacramento family searches for answers as police investigation continues. It was updated last night at 11:50 p.m. The reporter is Emily Mayer. It says, Sacramento, California. It's been nearly 5 months since the body of 19-year-old Taylor Blackwell was found inside a Sacramento hotel. Her family is still waiting for answers. Blackwell was a student at Sierra College and the vice president of the Black Student Union. An autopsy report has not been finished and no cause of death has been released. KCRA3 News wanted to know why the process is taking so long. That's a picture of Taylor Blackwell. I'm assuming it's a prom photo. That could be totally wrong, but to me it looks like a prom photo, and it was supplied by her mother, Chiffon Buckner. It says, here's what we know about the case. Blackwell's body was found on February 28th. A spokesperson for the Sacramento Police Department said officers received a call from the fire department to assist after Blackwell's body was found in a room at Woodspring Suites on La Mancha Way. Later, homicide detectives were sent to investigate. Sergeant Sabrina Briggs said it is standard procedure in this type of death investigation for homicide detectives to respond. The detectives investigate, then wait for the coroner's report before moving forward on the investigation, if necessary. Blackwell's mother said investigators gave her few details about what happened to her daughter. Chiffon Buckner said officers initially told her it appeared to be an accident. Quote, it looked like she could have slipped and fell and injured her cervical spine. Buckner said, that's what they told me, end quote. That's when I started to get wound up right there. Detectives told Buckner there was no blood at the scene. Who do they think they're talking to? The mother said she wasn't prepared for what she saw at the funeral home. She noticed her daughter's lips right away. Quote, they were cracked and busted up, Buckner said. There was a gash between her eyes on the bridge of her nose. There was bruising on her face. Her arms were so bruised up that we had to cover them, end quote. Blackwell's case is still open. Sacramento police said Blackwell's case is being considered a death investigation at this time. Briggs would not confirm any specific details of the case, including where Blackwell's body was found, who called 911, or if the department has any suspects or persons of interest. Briggs said detectives are waiting on reports from the Sacramento County Coroner's Office. Police have talked with Blackwell's family. Earlier this month, Buckner said detectives came to her home and asked her not to share certain details of the case. Quote, they started talking about how certain things shouldn't be said because they don't want certain things getting out to certain people who could be involved in the case, Buckner said, in the event that it ends up being led to an arrest needing to be made, end quote. Buckner said she was also told her daughter's autopsy would be expedited. 5 months later, no autopsy report. The coroner's office said it cannot release any details about Blackwell's case, including how she died. In an email, the coroner's office said it hopes to release information soon. KCRA 3 News asked if there was a backlog of cases holding up Blackwell's report. We were told there is not. I mean, come on. Let me go ahead and say, I do understand about releasing information that could be information that's only privy to the killer or murderer or what have you. But a slip and fall with an injury to a cervical spine, a slip and fall and there's no blood involved. Come on, man. Come on with the jokes. Now I'm going to play this video. I watched it once and it just sickening. Here goes.
We're not looking for this to be this or that. I'm not looking for this to be anything. I just want the truth.
It's been nearly 5 months since Taylor Blackwell's body was found inside this hotel. Her mom, Chiffon Buckner, is still waiting for answers.
It's not just me suffering. Any and everybody that knew my daughter and loved her is hurting.
On February 28th, Blackwell told her mom she was staying at a friend's house. Instead, the 19-year-old ended up at the Wood Springs Suites off La Mancha Way. Police gave family few details about what happened.
It was most likely looking like it could have most likely be an accident. And that it looked like she may have slipped and fell and injured her cervical spine. That's what they told me.
Buckner says investigators wouldn't tell her where her daughter was found or how she died, saying there was no blood at the scene. She wasn't prepared for what she saw at the funeral home. She noticed Taylor's lips right away.
They were cracked up and busted up. There was a gash right here on her, between her eyes, on the bridge of her nose here. There was bruising on her face. Her arms were so bruised up that we had to cover them.
KCRA 3 News wanted to find out why it's taking so long for the family to get answers. The Sacramento Police Department says Taylor's case is still open, calling it a death investigation. Buckner says police came to her earlier this month, telling her not to talk about specific details.
Because they don't want things getting out to certain people who could be involved in the case in the event that it ends up being led to an arrest needing to be made.
The coroner's office could not release any details about a cause of death or a timeline on when an autopsy report will be ready, saying hopefully soon. We asked if there was a backlog of cases slowing down the process, but the coroner says no. A former law enforcement officer tells KCRA it's unusual for an autopsy report to take 5 months, but isn't unheard of in difficult cases. Taylor's mother feels her daughter's case has been overlooked, and she wants answers.
I feel like they did not make my daughter's death a priority, period.
Emily Maha, KCRA 3 News.
So the reporter's name, I mispronounced. It's Emily Maha. Alright, so for information, I turned to the National Association of Medical Examiners to try to find out more information regarding this autopsy. And I found this, Model Postmortem Examinations Act. And I'm just going to kind of read through here. It says, the purpose of the Model Postmortem Examinations Act is to provide a means whereby greater competence can be assured in determining causes of death, where criminal liability may be involved. Experience has shown that many elected coroners are not well trained in the field of pathology, and the Act would set up in each state, an office headed by a trained pathologist. This office to have jurisdiction over post-mortem examinations for criminal purposes. The office would, in general, supersede the authority of coroners' offices in this field. The proposed post-mortem examination office would be controlled by an honorary commission of disinterested persons aware of the problems involved. It would be under a duty to cooperate with all law enforcement agencies in the state to set up regional and local offices as needed, and to develop a suitable laboratory, as well as to make use of other laboratories already in existence. The act is drafted as a model act rather than a uniform one, since the problem will be different in different states, particularly with respect to the constitutional status of the coroner's office. All right. Now, getting to the actual act itself. All right, this is Section 1. The Commission on Postmortem Examinations is hereby established. The members of the Commission shall be the Attorney General, the Superintendent of State Police, the State Commissioner of Public Health, the Dean of the Medical School of the State University or other university, and the Dean of the Law School of the State University or other university. The Commission shall elect one of its members as chairman and one as vice chairman. Members of the Commission shall receive no compensation, but they shall be repaid their actual expenses incurred in service on the Commission. The Commission shall meet at least once each year and oftener as its duties require. Alright, I skipped down to Section 4. It says, the Office of Postmortem Examinations shall investigate all human deaths of the type listed herewith. A. Violent deaths, whether apparently homicidal, suicidal, or accidental, including but not limited to deaths due to thermal, chemical, electrical, or radiational injury, and deaths due to criminal abortion, whether apparently self-induced or not. B. Sudden deaths not caused by readily recognizable disease. C. Deaths under suspicious circumstances. D. Deaths of persons whose bodies are to be cremated, dissected, buried at sea, or otherwise disposed of, so as to be thereafter unavailable for examination. E. Deaths of inmates of public institutions not hospitalized therein for organic disease. F. Deaths related to disease resulting from employment or to accident while employed. Or G. Deaths related to disease which might constitute a threat to public health. Alright. Now the comments under Section 5, which says, autopsies shall be conducted by the Office of Postmortem Examinations in cases in which, in the judgment of the Chief Medical Examiner, the public interest requires an autopsy, and in such cases an autopsy is hereby authorized. In determining whether the public interest requires an autopsy, the Chief Medical Examiner shall take into account, but shall not be bound by requests therefore, from private persons or from public officials, except that the prosecuting attorney of the affected district county shall have the right to require an autopsy. Then there's this little comment section. It says, it is obvious that few of the investigations here called for will result in autopsies. Where the circumstances of death are clearly and authoritatively explained, the medical examiner's investigation will be a quick one, often by communication with the attending physician only. Relatives of the deceased will not be disturbed, but such investigations will uncover the occasional case in which the facts call for further inquiry. The deaths included in Section 4 are in general those in connection with which there may be criminal prosecutions or civil legal proceedings. Among them are those in which the cause and manner of death may not be readily recognizable, or the manner of disposal of the body may be an effort to conceal the true cause and manner of death. And then it says, it seems wise to make the conduct of autopsies specifically a matter within the discretion of the Chief Medical Examiner to avoid vindictive civil lawsuits charging the office with improper handling of dead bodies. Okay, and so I'm just looking for something regarding time limitation. And so that sent me to the Forensic Autopsy Performance Standards, which was last updated in 2016. And I thought this was interesting when I read it. It says autopsies shall be performed as follows. And then it goes down to section B 4.5. The forensic pathologist shall not perform more than 325 autopsies in a year. The recommended maximum number of autopsies is 250 per year. I thought that was interesting to know. And also, I know that her mother stated that when she wanted to go to the coroner's office to see her daughter, she was told that they don't do that, or they don't allow that, and that she was identified through fingerprints. But here in section C, titled Identification, Standard C7, Standard Identification Procedures. Methods of identification are determined on an individual case basis, but can include viewing of the remains, either directly or by photograph, and comparison of dentition, fingerprints, or radiographs. So it clearly states there that she could have identified her daughter while she was at the coroner's office. Period. Period. That's it. Because every one of the medical examiners, coroners, offices, they have to go by this. And I know I spoke on this regarding Kanika Jenkins when I was covering the autopsy that was released by the Village of Rosemont on their website. That was done by the Cook County Coroner. This shows the preliminary procedures and the way they're supposed to lay them out. It says preliminary procedures are as follows. Review the circumstances of death prior to forensic autopsy. Record the body length, record the body weight, its external aspects of the body before internal examination. And if you remember back to Kanika's autopsy, that's what they were following, this guideline, to a T. And then it goes into the physical characteristics, document apparent age, establish sex, document or describe apparent race or racial characteristics, describe hair, eyes. It goes on and on and on. And then postmortem changes as far as livor mortis, evidence of embalming, if you can remember back, or if you need to rewatch that video, it's fine. But they follow this certain procedural outline. I went to the Sacramento County Coroner's office, and they have a frequently asked questions section. And it says, your loved one has died. Question: when will I know the cause of death? Answer: if established after a preliminary coroner's investigation, forensic examination of the decedent's body, and review of medical records, the cause of death will be available to relatives within 24 to 48 hours after the death is reported to the coroner's office. If further testing and investigation is required, it could take several months before a cause of death is available. The death certificate will show, quote, pending, end quote, in the cause of death section. Now, we know that the news reporter had asked them if the length of time it's taking to get an autopsy back, which would subsequently mean a report as well, was due to case backlog. And they said no. So I find this question interesting. How long will it take to get a copy of the coroner's report, and how can I get a copy? Answer: coroner case closures are significantly delayed because of caseload. case-specific investigatory issues, and staffing reductions. Therefore, we cannot state a specific time frame for case closure. A copy request can be made at any time for a case report, and it will remain on file until the case is closed. If you have not received your report after several months, feel free to contact the coroner's office at 916-874-9320 to check the status of your case. One copy of the coroner's report is available to the next of kin at no charge. Otherwise, copies of the coroner's report or autopsy report are subject to collection of an established fee. So, and then here it says, how long do you keep tissue or blood specimens, and what is required for the release of these specimens for paternity testing? And it says that they keep them on file for 1 year. But in most cases, blood DNA cards are retained indefinitely. Interesting. So, basically, it's still a waiting game, but we do know a little bit more regarding this case now. Just a few more little details have emerged. So, I thought I would bring that at least and let you guys know that there were just a little bit of new news floating around. So, hope you guys have a great night, and thanks for watching.